All right, we're back for a Christmas edition of Picks and Pizza. I'm Joe Giglio, joined by the pizza czar of North Carolina, Anthony Guerra. Anthony, which sad Giglio gambling tale of woe would you like to begin this week's program with?
It could be one of my favorites of all time because we were talking about this year. This year, let's go to this year only. Let's not go too far in the past.
Okay. These are all recent. So no, you're good. Let's start with what was it? 3 weeks ago, I decided to drive to Virginia, and I see that Sammy Howell, Sammy Football, who you've been talking about all year, your guy from Carolina. You're like, Joe, he's like number 2 in the NFL in passing yards. Joe, do you know who number 1 is this week? And I'm like, Patrick Mahomes, Tua Tagovailoa. I don't know, Anthony. And you're like, no, my boy from Indian Trail, Sammy Howell. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm in Virginia, and I see the odds for Sam Howell to lead the NFL in passing yards. Keep in mind, he's like, 25 yards behind, I think, at the time, Tua Tagovailoa. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, it's like 18-1. That really doesn't make any sense. They really don't believe in Sam Howell, do they? This is the part of the gambling podcast where I remind people it's okay to do a little bit of homework. The Washington Commanders had not had their open date yet. So they had already played an extra game against the players that he was competing against. But that's okay. My premise was that why is Tua Tagovailoa going to pour this thing out down the stretch? 25 yards.
Yeah,
no big deal. Sammy Football is going to light this thing on fire. Of course he is. Man, since then, since the bet was placed, he throws for 127 yards against the Dolphins, has the open date, and then catch this, was benched last week in a loss to the Rams.
Come on.
He got benched for Jacoby Brissett in the second half of that game.
Your guy. Is that like an NC State thing? Is that what they're trying? Is Ron Rivera, who has nothing to play for, is he just trying to needle the fan base down here?
I would just like to point out, though, from weeks 8 through 12, before the bet was placed, 397, 325, 312, 256, 300. The bet is placed. 127, week off, benched. Yeah.
Oh, no, it's the mush.
That was an actual alternate. That was an alternate to my actual favorite gambling moments of the week. Number 2, we sat down with the governor of North Carolina, Roy Cooper, not too far from the Oakwood Pizza Box. And we were talking about gambling, as we often do. And I like to needle him about when this thing is going to be legal here. When can I stop driving to the state of Virginia? And he goes, I could really see you having your own gambling show when this becomes legal.
I can see you now with a betting show where people pay to listen to you about what the over/under is going to be, and you're yelling, and I can see that now. There could be a future for you.
I like it. Well, let's get Dundon on the phone on that one.
Gov, I'm right down the street, baby. It's already here.
I was like, that hurts. That actually hurts. That hurts more than the Sam Howell prop.
The governor, the staff picks up pizza quite a bit. We talked to the governor on the inside. I like to think of a moving and shaking happen here in Pizza Box.
Yeah, they're big fans.
I thought he would. I thought he'd be listening.
No, it hurts, man. And then finally, and this is probably more appropriate to my gambling career. As mentioned, not legal here yet in the state of North Carolina. According to the governor, they're going to try to get it before March Madness. Now, we've heard all of this before. I don't know. I even asked him in the interview, can't you just flip a switch and turn this thing on? Let's go. Apparently, that's not how it works. He's a lawyer. He was trying to explain to me in some sort of lawyer answer. I was like, okay, cool. We all live in the United States, though, so let's just flip that DraftKings or FanDuel switch and let's go. So hopefully we'll get it before the NCAA tournament. That's the track right now, by the way.
Does the governor know what the most watched sporting event in the world is and what day that is? Why don't we do the Super Bowl? What are we doing?
Well, in fairness to him, he would have approved a gambling bill 3 years ago when I had first asked him about it.
No.
So there's a lot of machinations at work. Gambling is one of the few things in the state of North Carolina you can get some Democrats and some Republicans to agree on. Hence why it's taken so long for it to be legalized here in the old North State. So one more gambling tidbit. As you know, I've tried to have different people, when they are in states that it is legal, log into my account for me and place bets for me. Joe Olvius, notably, started the OG gambling syndicate when he was in the great state of Michigan. We did really well. My friend Steve Young, when he goes to see NC State play football in Virginia, likes to pick me up and play some bets for me. Don't do as well with Steve as I did with Joe, but still, it's a thing.
The
So
legendary quarterback, or which
Yes.
Steve are you talking about?
That's Steve Young, our Steve Young, the world's biggest NC State fan. Yes. No, so this week, Ethan Hyman, News and Observer photographer, great friend of mine, volunteers, says to me, hey, man, I'm up in New York for the Baylor Duke game. And I said, oh, that's awesome. He goes, I'll log into your account and I'll play some bets for you. I said, oh, cool. Thank you. Earlier this week, I did a bowl pick podcast with Josh Goodson, your guy, Josh Goodson from RTP Mortgage.
Yep.
And my number one play for the entire bowl season was South Florida against Syracuse. My number one play. So this would have been the one where I, if we had a pick service, this would have been my 17-star pick.
Okay.
Ethan, to begin the story, called me from New York. Like Virginia, like Connecticut, you cannot place bets on college teams from those states.
Oh, dear.
Syracuse was the opponent.
Oh, dear.
So I had to watch in utter pain as South Florida murdered Syracuse 45-0. South Florida, a 2-point underdog in the play of the bowl season, couldn't get it in. Yes.
That's brutal.
That was atrocious.
I mean, I'm sure the Duke game was in MSG? Where everybody knows MSG, Manhattan, is a completely different state than where Syracuse is. It's not even the same state.
I know. So I ended up betting on the Canes. They lost in a shootout to the Penguins, of course. Second time in a row I've had the Penguins break my heart in a shootout. Nothing worse than watching a Penguin shootout when you're like, okay, they put out like the first jabroni and you're like, oh, cool. And then here comes Sidney Crosby. You're like, oh, fuck. and then you remember they have Malkin. And you're like, you just rip the ticket up in real time and throw it into the fucking flames, man. Just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But neither here nor there. I appreciate it. Let me have a little gambling therapy here as we get ready.
Just talk through it.
We get ready for Christmas. Before we get to our picks from last week, and whoo, boy, was it a struggle for your boy. All of our picks here on Picks+Pizza are brought to you by Wings Over. Go check out Ryan on Wings at Wings Over Raleigh, Wings Over Chapel Hill, and Wings Over Greenville. Wings Over Raleigh got the free parking right there right across the street from University Towers. Order online, wingsover.com. They're always going to be ready on time. And when I tell you they're the best wings in Raleigh, I'm not lying to you. And we have any number of people who can back this up for us. So go check them out. It's over at wingsover.com. All right, let's get to last week's results because our season-long contest took a little bit of a turn last week that I'm not really satisfied with, Anthony.
Joe, maybe we skip this. I'm okay with skipping this.
No. You
editing it out. Just
here's the thing. No, here's the thing. You probably didn't feel great about going 2-3. However, you hit your prop again, Joe Flacco. So you are now, you are now 10-4 on the season in your props, which is still spectacular. So you hit your prop again. That's good news. You go 2-3 last week. I did not win a game last week. 0-4-1. And this is actually going to lead us into so now on the year, you are 24-23-1, feeling good. I am 22-25-1, not feeling good. But now I got that tie though, so we are only separated by 2 games now. So that cleans up a little bit of our math. But this is actually going to get us into your first pick, your first lock, because the Lions have been vexing us every time I point out the Lions have the best record against the number this year, they lose. it is like clockwork. So I had them 2 weeks ago against the Bears. They lose outright. So I'm like, F it, man. I'm betting against the Lions this week. I took my boy Russell Wilson, who got undressed on the sidelines by Sean Payton. That was a first-class scolding from Sean Payton to Big Russ, and that did for no avail because the Lions kicked the Broncos' ass. And now here you are. You're gonna do it, aren't you? You're
I'm
gonna
gonna
take the Lions at Vikings this week?
Campbell, give me the 2 venti coffees with 3 shots of espresso inside of them before the game. Pump me up. I'm ready to go. Dan Campbell, Lions, take me to victory. What are the Vikings? I just don't think they have any offense. I think the Lions can score a couple points, and it's not going to matter. The line here is 3, -3. Lions on the road. I'm going with them.
Lions are a road 3. In theory, still in play for the number 1 seed. We literally have made a mess of the Lions from the jump. Yep. If you go back from week 1, you had the Chiefs. That's when the Lions really started effing with us. So for your sake and mine, I just hope we get one Lions game right. How about that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not asking for a lot.
Yeah, we got to get one.
All right. I'm going to apply a gambling axiom this week that I believe in and usually works at the end of the season. I don't know if you watched on Monday night, but the Seahawks with Drew Lock looked like the Legion of Boom Super Bowl champion Seahawks in knocking off the Eagles as a home dog. And Pete Carroll had his fuzzy hat on. He was smacking that gum. Man, he was happy. He was really happy, Anthony. Seattle has a chance to get into the wild card in the NFC. They're actually a 3.5-point road favorite this week. So we're going to combine 2 of my axioms here, and that is Seattle literally just played their Super Bowl. Literally. I do not see them reloading the musket this week against the Titans. Also, what have we talked about with home teams and road teams? You got to be careful with those road teams. Seattle is not in let's bet on Seattle as a road favorite territory yet. Certainly not after pouring it out last week on a Monday night, by the way. Short rest, some of your rules here coming across the ocean. Take on the Titans. Quite frankly, they're not a great team, but they're still a proud team. They should not be a 3.5-point home dog.
Vrabel's a great coach.
He is very good. All right, now since both of your bets are tied up in the same game, I'm going to go to another gambling axiom for my second pick, and that is, a team can't be as bad as their worst performance, right? So the Falcons lost on the road to the hapless, worthless Panthers last week in a torrential, cold rainstorm. I'm not going to judge the Falcons for this game, but I will say to you, you're only as good as your next game. And when people have pride and they are professionals, which the Falcons are, they're going to take that terrible, awful loss and use it as motivation this week against a Colts team that, quite frankly, you and I have been talking about who the coach of the year is. Shane Steichen, I think, is in that conversation. D'Amico Ryans has to be in that conversation. Here is another example. This game actually opened as the Colts as a favorite. All of the money has moved to the Falcons. I don't care. I know public money is dumb money, but I'm taking the Falcons -2.5 in this game.
Shocked they lost that game. That was ugly.
All right, now both of your remaining picks are involved in the Jets, so let's get to the Jets. Jets! Well, Anthony, your favorite team continues to vex me. When the Jets zig, I zag. And when they zag, I zig. I thought for sure they were going to show up for a divisional game against a team they had just played. Now, Zach Wilson getting knocked out with a concussion was less than optimal, but still.
Especially to my prop bet.
Yeah, that was you've had. That's funny because you've had now 2 props that you've lost that are totally out of your control. Injury related, but you're once bitten, twice not shy here though. Your prop of the week is going to involve the Jets quarterback.
I'm going into it. Trevor Siemian, the number is robust at 202.5. I don't know if Vegas has been watching the Jets offense or Jets quarterbacks. I'm going the under. And if he goes over, I'm going to get a sign out and say, let's fire Hackett immediately. Because what the hell have I been watching if Trevor Siemian can really do something more than
If Trevor's
172 or something.
202 is starchy. So 202.5, you're going under Trevor
Under.
Siemian's passing yardage. Now,
Passing yardage.
I feel like I'm always on the wrong side of the Jets. The Jets are a home favorite. This is a home 3. Now, the pattern for the Jets, every time I get them wrong, last week they did not fight. In theory, they fight this week, right? In theory?
Probably.
Okay, so
Maybe.
you're gonna lay the points to take the Jets?
I'm taking the Jets. I think they're gonna. I just think Washington's terrible. I think Ron Rivera is at the point. He's basically dog sitting in the office there. He's making sure the pipes don't freeze. The next guy to take over. He doesn't have a job. What are they playing for at all? I think Saleh really. Well, a couple things here. A, Saleh really is trying to coach for his job, and I think the Jets do this thing every year where they win meaningless games and jack up the draft picks. This is that one where you know we could get a top 10 pick. Now we'll be number 13 or 14 because we're going to win stupid games that we shouldn't even play. They'll win. Defensive touchdown here too. If I was looking at that prop, I get a defensive touchdown. Sam Howell's going to be pushing. Defense is still good. Those guys are playing for something.
All right, I'm going to go the other way only because I think Ron Rivera, after losing 5 games in a row, I think they win this game. And I think it's the last win of his career. I think because they finish with 49ers in Dallas. So I think he wins this game. And as you said, he's just keeping the seat warm right now, making sure the electricity and nobody tries to steal the mail and all those other good things. I think they win this game and then they get just smoked in their last 2 games. And then Bill Belichick rides into town like Vince Lombardi did one of those days. History repeats itself, and we see the hoodie, the Jedi Master, try to set the NFL record for wins.
Doesn't the hoodie go running for San Diego, though? I'd be running for that San Diego job. Is what
I don't think he wants to live out there. I don't think he's not a mover. He's not a West Coast guy.
There, he's
not Don Draper. He's not ready for his West Coast phase.
These are the hoodies. He's gonna live on a yacht. He's going to San Diego. He's got plenty of money. The taxation rate's not going to affect him out there.
Ooh, yeah,
he's
that's a good point.
It doesn't matter.
That's a good point.
But you gotta. I mean, if I'm a coach, you should look at the quarterback. Like, all right, I got Herbert's. Give me Herbert all day. I'm fine. We'll win. A couple pieces on defense. You're in cap hell. I'm sure you can flip it around and figure it out. I mean, hell, listen. If Shohei Ohtani taught me anything the last couple of weeks, just start deferring some money out. Get around the cap.
All right. It is a Saturday. We're recording this late in the week. Oka Pizza Box hours. We have a normal lunch dinner Saturday right now.
Yeah, full boat today. I'm about to go into service. I gotta get that ready to go. It'll be busy. Close Sunday. Close
Sunday's
Wednesday.
Christmas Eve, and then
Christmas
you'll be
and then
Wednesday. No Wednesday.
No Wednesday. Long little weekend for us.
Okay, so you'll be back for the 28th, which is NC State in the Pop-Tarts Bowl. You'll be back to celebrate NC State's loss to Kansas State, is what you're saying.
Yes. We'll be back for that.
All right, so Oka Pizza Box, it's on Person Street right there across from Krispy Kreme. Order online, okapizzabox.com, or stop in, go see Anthony, get yourself a Narragansett. Anthony, Merry Christmas to you. Appreciate you for everything you do for the OG Media Company. Hopefully I can win a game this week, but we'll see. And as always, if you haven't already, subscribe, like, do all those good things. Appreciate everyone who follows us on the Apple, Spotify, their Googles. We'll see you next week on Picks and Pizza.